What is up, everybody? Welcome to SFL This Week, back with our normal co-host, Mike St. Green. What's going on, Mike? How you been?
What's going on, Cam? Good to be back, man. It feels like it's been forever since I've been here outside of the week that I missed. It seems like this season's kind of getting away from us, and I've barely been here.
Yeah, I heard that you exceeded the weight limit on a water slide on a cruise, and you knocked out a panel, and then somebody got hurt. Are you okay?
Wrong cruise, wrong guy, and no, I did not exceed the weight limit. I'm feeling kind of spelt this time of year, but no, it wasn't me. Wrong ship, wrong guy.
Quite frankly, I probably would be closer to exceeding the weight limit than you these days. You're looking good. You're looking good. Well, hey, we've been continuing to play games in the SFL in your absence, and through 5 weeks of the regular season, every single team has a win. Everybody's won a game already. That's probably one of the fastest time periods we've gotten in SFL history, too, everybody getting their first win.
Yeah, and looking at the standings, Cam, I mean, it's very competitive right now. You look at the Central, that's anybody's ball game over there. The East is, not wide open, but it's kind of surprising to see teams you see at the top. And Baltimore, they're kind of down at the bottom right now with no home wins for the Vultures. That's kind of surprising right now. So, yeah, no participation ribbons going out right now. It's very competitive, 3-4 weeks in, and we're going to see how this thing plays out the rest of the way, man. But right now, it's going to be competitive pretty much for the 15 weeks of the season.
We were blessed this week. We had 7 games worth highlighting. Last week was a stinker. We had tons of blowouts, and I mean bad blowouts. So it was a great week for you to go on your cruise, and I'm sure you're waiting in anticipation for next month's cruise. We'll see when you get back. Hey, let's start the show with 2 offenses that have really been struggling. Denver on Monday night, they got hammered 44-0 to Mexico City. It was ugly. Hopefully Charles and I have a better game tonight with Houston and Albuquerque. We got our full Monday night spectacular crew coming up, but Denver desperately in need of a bounce back there. How about Carolina? 0-3 to start the season. They have been really struggling on the offensive side of the ball. Both teams got their offense going and gave us one of the best games of the week, and that's where we start, in Raleigh, North Carolina. That is Riley Quintero into the end zone for the touchdown for the Skyhawks. They're up 10-0 to start the second quarter, and it was all Carolina early, but that pass from Trellis Blanton caught by Dylan Lewis into the end zone for the score. 10-7. Denver strikes back. Bryant Dynasty, he has not thrown hardly at all. Finds Gibson Rickenbacker with the catch. Whatever happened to the Smith family, Mike St. Green? I think they've gone extinct. That pass is caught by Mike Kleinecht for the score. 14-13. Denver takes the lead. Bailey O'Shaughnessy just before the half on 3rd down and short. He is stuffed at the line, so Denver has to settle for a field goal. That would be huge because Chase Earl tips it to himself and makes a catch for a 1st and goal for Carolina to keep the drive alive. An impressive catch by Chase Earl. Still the same score. We go to the 4th quarter. We flip sides of the field. And Bryant Dynasty out of the eye will hand it off to Riley Quintero, who will break a tackle and score. Carolina takes the lead. Ike McBride in this game became the 20th running back to eclipse 10,000 rushing yards. Didn't have a touchdown, but did hit that milestone. Okay, 4th and short. Riley Quintero trying to get the first down, could not with 6 minutes to go. John Martin with the stop. So Denver on 3rd down and 8. Has an opportunity to get into scoring position. They do. 1st down and 10 for the Nightwings, but as you know, Mike St. Green goal line stops are everything, and Carolina makes one right there to force a field goal. Adam Banks on the ensuing kick return. Special teams all the way to midfield, and the Skyhawks are in position to make a play in this game to win it. And of course, who else would it be, Mike? Gibson Rickenbacker making the grab and getting him into scoring range for the game-winning kick.
Yeah, you said whatever happened to the Smiths? Whatever happened to the Rollins? Who's this Gibson Rickenbacker guy?
Well, Malone Brown's got a kick that's good, and Carolina wins the game 23-20. Hey, we have plenty of highlights of kickers missing field goals this week. Carolina fortunate that Malone Brown was able to put that through, but 23-20, epic game. That's what started Sunday's slate. Carolina gets the first win of their season. Your thoughts?
Yeah, it really was a big win for Carolina. Obviously, it's tough coming out of an 0-4 hole, in this league, and that's what they would have been looking at if they would have pulled this game out. It kind of looked like that they were going to run away with this early. Denver made a big comeback, came back and took the lead for a majority of this game going into the second half. And then Carolina, put their foot on the pedal. Bryant Dynasty came up with a couple of huge connections to Reckenbacher, whoever he is, Cam. I need the thesaurus or dictionary or something to pronounce some of these names that these guys are coming up with. But it was great to see Dynasty come through with a couple of big passes and a huge kick return there at the end that set them up nicely to get that game-winning field goal at the end.
Shout out to Horizon Breeze, who just joined the SFL. If I made a player in this league, I think I'd call it Fish Sandwich, Mike. I mean, I don't know what's going. Just McCarthy, Jerome. There's so many different regular. I don't get it. I don't get it. For Denver, they fall to 2-2. They got a really strong start to the season, and they've kind of tapered off. They definitely look better this week. Just kind of came up short. As you mentioned earlier in the program, the Central is wide open, and Denver's slumping. Minnesota's ascension is all part of that.
Yeah, Denver, slumping a little bit. If we can call it a slump, getting blown out last week and then backing it up with a loss. I guess you could say they're hitting a little rough spot right here. But Minnesota, after starting off slowly, they came through with a big win this week, and they're sitting, right there, even with Chicago and Denver in the Central Division right now.
And I was just talking to old Pops on the phone today, and he said, hey, if we beat Chicago, we're 2-0 in the division, and we're right in there as well. So, the Central definitely wide open. We'll see how Denver can respond in their next game. But Carolina, the pressure's off. At least they finally got the passing game going with Dynasty, and they can breathe easy. They've got their first win of the season. Coming into this week, the Pittsburgh Riverhogs were 1-13 on the road in franchise history. They could not get it done. Would they get it done in Charleston? Let's go to the highlights. We start with Doug Spelling with a ridiculous spin move to the outside and the touchdown for Charleston, making it 7-3 Preds early in the first quarter. Remember, Charleston had played 3 straight overtime games to start their season. Would it be a fourth? Otis Boudreau not helping matters, missing that field goal and keeping it a 4-point game. Ace Fennick to the former Charleston Pred, Doug Britton, down the sideline, all the way down to the 2-yard line. It always feels good to play your former team and have a good night.
It always feels good, Cam. I just hope a former teammate doesn't have a good night tonight against Headhunters.
3 catches for 70 yards as Britton goes down the sideline there. That's right, Josh Slaps playing his old team. Just another wrinkle to the storyline tonight here on the Monday Night Spectacular. That is Belitz into the end zone for the score for Pittsburgh. They answer on that drive. And then with under 10 seconds to go in the first half, this is hard to do. Just one timeout on the board. Ziggy Ronick into the end zone for the touchdown. A perfect 2-minute offensive sequence. You don't often hear that. The Riverhogs take the lead. Then Fennick on third down completes this one to Ziggy to start the fourth quarter, but hold everything. An eligible man downfield pushes Pittsburgh back, and now Charleston has an opportunity. Pittsburgh kind of even outside of field goal range at this point at the 35-yard line. So on third down and 16, what do? Well, you throw it right back to them, and Pittsburgh converts the third down. It was a monster play in this game, kept the drive alive for the Riverhogs. Then Fennick to Mike Churchill out of the backfield. If you can swing it out to your running back and get 16 yards, that's always going to be a weapon for you, Mike, as Churchill punches it in right there, makes it 24-10. Pittsburgh runs away with this one in the fourth quarter, but Churchill, Britton, all of these acquisitions that Pittsburgh has made over the last couple of seasons, it's starting to pay off. They have win number 2 on the season.
Yeah, definitely took took the words right out of my mouth, Cam. We've been expecting and this team to produce more for us in the win column than they have up until this point. But as you mentioned, man, these free agent acquisitions are starting to pay dividends for this team. Doug Britton came in with a huge catch. Ziggy Roning had a huge night, and we saw Churchill there at the end. That was a couple of big plays at big times in that game the other night, Friday night for them when he made those plays and paid dividends for Pittsburgh, and they came away with a big road victory. And as you mentioned, that's been tough for them to come by in their franchise history.
With Charleston, I'm not sure that I'm worried about them, but this is one of those games where when you're trying to keep a team down like Florida or a Carolina, this is one of those games where you sort of take the next step as a franchise, as an organization. They've been playing all these close games and winning most of them. They failed to take the next step in this one, and it kind of feels like a missed opportunity for them.
Yeah, especially being at home, Cam. You don't want to give up that home field advantage too often in this league. It's tough to win on the road and to lose to a team that have been struggling historically on the road. That makes it even doubly tough. But if you mentioned Florida, they're not the same Florida Storm right now. And if you want to get ahead of these guys, put some distance between yourselves and teams that's in the bottom of the division as often as you can. Yeah, that was a missed opportunity for the Predators this weekend.
Ashley Jackson caught up with Corey Menner, who I guess had an opportunity to go on a cruise, but instead got to sit at home and watch his Riverhogs team get a W. Don't wait till the last minute, Corey, to get all the paperwork going. What are you doing? Anyway, he sat down with Ashley Jackson on PGI after Pittsburgh's big win.
Welcome back to PGI, where I am joined with the boss of the Riverhogs, Mr. Corey Menner, coming off a fantastic win against the Charleston Predators, 24-10, a revenge win, if I remember correctly. I want to say they got you guys 31-6 the last time y'all played each other.
Yes. They did a number on us, and that was our very first inaugural season. They did a number on us, but this time we were able to seek some revenge. It was kind of bittersweet. I have ties with that team. I spent at least a good half of my SFL career with them. So, it was bittersweet, but I'll definitely take that victory and finally start proving some haters wrong,
Yes, indeed. And I know that had to feel good for the team as well. I mean, it was 17-10 to end the first half. So you guys were grinding from the start.
Oh yeah. It's what Coach Craven and Keith and I were seeing in the Sims. We were preparing as much as we could because we knew this is going to be a challenge. Charleston is no slouch team. They're always one that they're always knocking on the door, always playoff contenders. But this time around, we looked at what we had available, and we sinned and prepared as best as we could, and it turned out exactly as we wanted, and it turned out to be a great victory overall. And I got to give Coach Craven his props. He put together an amazing book that it just panned out perfectly and sent the Predators home or sent them home with a loss. And so now we're just gearing up for our next battle with Oklahoma or Oklahoma City rather, and just trying to get that third win in a row.
So, do you think that this is going to be a turning point for the Pittsburgh Riverhogs? Because I know you guys been around for, a few seasons, and I know that, people sometimes automatically write you guys off, and I don't think that's fair. So, do you think that this is going to be a turning point for you guys?
I'm hoping it's, I want to say yes, it's going to be a turning point. We've had two solid wins. The first one against Carolina. They're another team that they're no slouch. Then we got Charleston. I know we started off a little rocky, but, the first 2 weeks, you got to take that with a grain of salt. But now we're looking ahead and getting ready to prepare for our bigger opponents. And I think we got things clicking in the way we want to. So I think we're going to see we got a lot more wins ahead in our future this season.
Hey, Corey. Well, I'm here for it, man. As long as you're not playing us, I'm going to wish y'all the best in every game that you play. Because I've seen you, go through the trial by fire and things like that. So I'm really happy for you, man.
Oh, I appreciate it. And I know, I'll root for you guys every time, except for I think it's week 14 when we come to see you guys, and it's not going to be pretty for you. I'm just going to let you know now. I mean, I'm guessing about maybe 2 pick sixes on Ashley Jackson. I mean,
you can have all the ball.
You can have all the balls
you want, honey. As long as we take home the win, that's all that matters.
We'll see. We'll see.
All right, Corey. Thank you so much for your time, brother. I really appreciate you.
I appreciate you.
Thank you, Ashley. Thank you, Corey. Lexington at Detroit. Sean Parent with the sack. He is your SFL sack leader, and it's not even close. He started the game off right for the Detroit Maulers, who have just been outstanding. Terrell Sutherland with the touchdown there. Mike Daggs was in attendance for the big game. Battle of 2-1 teams. Lexington's down 7-3 and shanks this field goal. That was already the second miss of the first half for the Miners special teams. 7-3. We picked this up in the second half. Ethan Flowers to Rob Hunt. Look, we get the Detroit as a ball control team, and we get that they're a running team, but if they can make catches like that, they're going to be dangerous. Andrew Gibson makes it 17-3. Detroit wearing down Lexington in this ball game, and then they get this interception from King Rashid. Mike, this defense is just smothering.
Yeah, this defense has been excellent this first few games of the season. Cam only giving up right around 10 points a game, and they have been smothering teams, just as we see King Rashid with the big interception right there.
3rd down and inches. Ethan Flowers takes off, does it himself, gets it down to the 1-yard line. Marco Swift tries to save the touchdown, but Detroit does Ethan Flowers right. He says, you got us down to the 1. Why don't you take it to the outside? A little slow for our liking, but he's trying to burn some clock. 24-3. Detroit all over the Lexington Miners, and once again, a team in the Eastern Conference or Eastern Division is unable to take advantage. It's a mess down there as Lexington loses another one. Detroit is a very interesting team. They're, of course, last season's Indianapolis Ramblers with some few adjustments. They went just 4-8 last year. They're already 3-1. And they are a rare breed, Mike, because they are doing it defense first. And most teams in the league are not necessarily winning games like that.
And as I think back to the Indianapolis days, Cam, especially last season, they did have their moments defensively where they would come through and really shut some teams down. But I think they have figured some things out in this offseason and doing the move to Detroit that have really paid off for this team. We saw them shut down Pittsburgh a couple of weeks ago. I want to say maybe that was the second week of the season. Our first Monday night game, I kind of expected that game to have fireworks, but Detroit said, no way, we're gonna shut this offense down. And as we saw Pittsburgh, they can score points, but yeah, these guys have been Sean Parent, as you mentioned, he's been excellent on the defensive side, coming through with the sacks. So that means that front seven has been playing well, and they've been doing just enough on offense to come through with victories. And now we see them sitting at 3-1.
Yeah, what most impresses me about Detroit is they're not trying to meta anything. Their team looks like their team on paper. Right, the way they plays to their strengths on their roster, and I think they're maximizing the talent that they have right now in Detroit. Lexington kind of in the same boat as Charleston. Here was another opportunity to take it to take the next step, to be 3-1, to start to enter that championship conversation, and Lexington just could not get anything going. It's hard to blame them. No one has really been able to figure out this Detroit Maulers defense so far this season, and Lexington didn't figure it out either.
Yeah, it was a tough road trip for them, and and Lexington / Tulsa in the past, they're kind of in that same boat for me with Charleston and Carolina, and you may want to throw LA in there as a team like that you always expect when the minute you start expecting more, they kind of let you down a little bit. But I just think this was a hiccup for them. As we mentioned, this is a tough team and tough defense to play, especially on the road. So we'll just write that off as maybe a little hiccup, and we'll see how they can bounce back after this tough loss.
Yeah, I think Lexington will be fine, and just when you start to doubt them, they come up with a major win, so we know that they're not. We know that they're not going anywhere. All right, let's go to another team that. Well, I should say, let's go to a team that went on the road into hostile territory and got a win that is pretty uncommon, and that is at the I in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, where Johnny Reno and the Minnesota Legend, fresh off their first win of the season, hits Deezer Powell down the field. Deezer Powell, one of my favorite players in SFL history, Mike. He just seems to show up in the biggest moments.
Yeah, he always seems to be making plays, Cam, no matter where he is. Deezer Powell gets his name called pretty much weekly in this league.
Mickey Malillo, field goal? No good. He missed it. Another missed kick. So Minnesota's only up 6-0. Former Minnesota legend Daniel Wright makes the interception, and so Florida is right back in this thing. The very next play, as the Storm try to build momentum, down just 6-0, they're in scoring position. Isaac Covert throws a pick, and Minnesota shuts it down immediately. That's what you got to do to beat a team like Florida.
Yeah, that was just a rookie mistake right there, Cam. Did not, look at his reads and right there for the interception, and it stopped Florida from getting on the board.
But the first drive of the third quarter was good for Florida. They go 4 minutes and score a touchdown. Deezer Powell right back to work again for Minnesota, their 12th first down of the game. Then it's Reno to Jay Taylor in the back of the end zone, makes it 12-7. Florida, 102 wins at home in the SFL. That is first all time. They weren't going to go away. Art Vandelay with the score makes it 14-13 Florida. Then Reno to Jason France, pew pew, in the end zone, 20-14. Minnesota retakes the lead. Then on fourth down, Covert is picked by Nicholas Frosso, and Minnesota, even though it looked like the Florida Storm were going to come back over and over and over again in this game, they could not get it done, and Minnesota did. They win their second straight. Florida falls to 102-24 at home. That's an 81% win percentage at home. Minnesota, a very rare road win at the I in Fort Lauderdale. Your thoughts?
Well, we knew this was going to be a kind of a struggle of a season, so to speak, for Florida. We knew they're breaking in a new, rookie quarterback, so that's going to be tough. But as I had mentioned early on in this season, that if anyone could pull off, a miracle of coaching a guy up, that would be Florida. And we saw the third down efficiency right there. They were 50%. It's not like they have fallen all the way off. They're getting something out of the young quarterback. But Minnesota's defense came up with some big plays at big times. And also, man, I want to just note Johnny Reno, former MVP. He played excellent in this game. We saw how he was finding Deezer Powell on several passes, and he came through with big touchdown passes at big times. And big time players make big time plays, and Reno was able to do that the other night.
Yeah, Florida has been, I mean, they've been in game. That game against Los Angeles was pretty surprising that they lost on the road, but three of their first four games have been one-possession ball games. They've been right in just about everything so far this season. So, good on Art Vandelay, Max Paul, the rest of that staff in Florida. I mean, they are doing more with less, but they certainly don't have the roster of old. It's still weird to not say that Ron Cochran is throwing the football in Florida. I think this stretch for Florida coming up is huge. That's going to tell us a lot about their season because they've got three teams that are real challenges for them. Their next game is at Lexington. Lexington blew them out last year down the stretch. If you remember, Mike, we were all shocked that Lexington, that was one of those Lexington games, right? Then they got Mexico City. After that, we know that the Aztecs right now are clearly the best team in the league, especially after their Monday night performance against Denver. And then they're at Carolina, and they can't seem to beat the Skyhawks. Carolina's had their number the last couple of seasons. So these are divisional games. These are games against the best of the best. These are games that Florida has struggled, or opponents that Florida has struggled with. It's a big test over the next few weeks.
Yeah, it's going to be a big test, but then probably after it's all said and done, they'll be 2-1 and looking looking just as good as they always have. But yeah, it's going to be a big test for them. Like I said, especially with the rookie quarterback, we're going to see how he progresses along through the rest of the season. But I think they're the Florida Storm. They're going to figure some things out, and they're going to come up with some big victories probably when we're not expecting them to do so.
They were not the only team that got a major win on the road. How about the Sin City Samurai at the Washington Trident? The winless Samurai, Elliott Pope Jr., with that catch. Kenny Hendricks was suspended for this game for inactivity. So just 2 star wide receivers on the squad. It didn't matter for Sin City. It still paid off. 3rd down and goal. Logan Lee. Boy, that's a rare sight. That's a sight for sore eyes. Lee's into the end zone for the touchdown. Samurai take the 7-0 lead. Tommy Utah trying to get the Trident going, but that pass is deflected right into the arms of Evan Lacey. 7-0. Sin City still with the lead. He gets help up from a teammate. I think that was Mike All. Scar Patterson to Al Dillapre, breaking off a tackle and scoring with 15 seconds to go in the first half. And the Samurai up 14-3 on Washington. 8 minutes to go in the third. This was a questionable call, but right there, it looks like that should have been a touchback. They ruled it down on the 1. I had to super slow-mo it. They basically said that he gained possession at the 1-yard line and essentially possession halted. I don't know. Didn't look like a great call to me, and it results in Washington getting a safety. So 14-5. Things are not done yet, especially when you have Shane Kaufman. That's one of the best picks I've ever seen, Mike.
Yeah, that was an excellent pick right there, Cameron, and probably shouldn't have stepped out right there. Probably should have taken it to the house, but nonetheless, huge pick, and it was at a big time in the ball game.
But just like Florida's big interception, Washington gives it right back. Sin City holds the Trident to a field goal on the next possession. They recover the onside kick, and wow, Sin City wins a weird one, 14-8 against the Washington Trident, and Washington falls to 1-3. Probably a shock to a lot of people as Sin City gets a huge win. I think a lot of people wrote them off and said, look, this team is trending down, right? It's not going well, but what a huge win for Zach Benjamin and the rest of their updated coaching staff. That's a big monkey off their back.
Yeah, they really needed that win, Cam, and it was good to see Logan Lee cross the goal line as well. I mean, that's what they really need to get going. We haven't seen enough of Logan Lee, in my opinion, in the past really few games for Sin City. And and Washington's 1-3 right now. That's a total shocker. I'm not sure what's going on over there. I haven't seen a lot of them since week 1, but Washington being 1-3 is probably one of the biggest surprises so far this season.
Robert Thump might bring this up in his conversation with Ashley Jackson, but he was telling me over the week that his staff has been dealing with COVID issues over the that is still existing, I guess, in our world. But been dealing with some illnesses and some things going on. And look, Mike, it's a reminder that every season is different, and everybody around the league has real life, real world challenges, and sometimes it's your season and sometimes it's not. Just simply based off of that, Washington dealing with some of that right now.
Well, then that's interesting to hear that they're battling COVID over there in that locker room right now, because I actually just heard today that COVID numbers are starting to rise a little bit more than what they had in the past few years once we've gotten past this thing. So it's unfortunate for them, and hopefully these guys can bounce back and can get back in the winning ways of things.
I'm staying in my house. I'm staying in my studio doing these shows. Nobody get me sick. I can't afford it. My life depends on it. Literally. I got to feed my family. Anyway, huge props to Robert Thump stopping by with Ashley Jackson after a loss. Most of the time, people lose. They go into hiding. They don't want to say anything. Robert Thump still had plenty to say with Jackson on PGI. Let's take a listen.
Welcome back to PGI, where I am joined, good friend of mine, Mr. Robert Thump, headmaster over there at Washington Trident, and
try to be.
Man, 14-8 loss to Sin City. Man, what's going on?
Yeah, we just had some stuff come up, right?
Yeah.
Try some things in offense, didn't work. I don't say we overlooked Sin City because we definitely don't overlook anybody, right? We do our homework, but we just never prepare like we normally do. So we kind of we get back to the drawing board, reassess, figure out what went wrong, and kind of go from there.
I mean, it looked like things was kind of picking up for you guys, especially when you got that safety. But it was like 55 left in the third quarter, and I thought that could have been a turning point for you.
I was hoping so.
You had the interceptions, and then through, so.
Right, exactly. Mahada was kind of eating all game, right? That's kind of where our focus was, and we thought, or at least I did, that would kind of be more of a factor, and he'd be, I think one game last year he almost had like 4 touchdowns, almost 5. So we were trying to not necessarily replicate that, but to build off that, right, going forward and show that we're a little bit more diverse where we want to be. And it just didn't work out that way. So we're gonna go back to the drawing board, reassess, figure out what went wrong, and retool. Try to keep some sort of balance and normalcy to our offense, right? Because we didn't bring in Dwayne Salmons, which is a big get for us, right? And we have everybody else returning, which is huge. So just reassess, figure out what went right, what went wrong, and get ready for the next game versus Fort Worth.
Yeah, because I know Fort Worth Toros put up hefty points against their last opponent. So, definitely got to be ready. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that kind of alluded to my other question for you was how do you guys plan to bounce back? Because, you guys were just, what was it, 9-3 last year?
Yeah, 10-2. Yeah.
10-2, excuse me. 10-2.
Yeah.
And
So we've been in Motor City was my first season as a head coach, right? Went 3-9 and then blew everybody out of the water last year with 10-2, right? We have much harder schedule off rip, right? We had a hard schedule off rip last year too, right? But this is different, right? More road games, and not necessarily, the quality of opponents much higher, right? For sure. So we're just looking to take it game by game, right? Next, we got Fort Worth, who had like 6 or 7 pick sixes at the end there versus OKC at home, which is crazy, right?
Right.
We're not looking to replicate that, but we're looking to get right versus them and see what happens and go from there. We have a bye week after that, and I think we have Denver at home, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
So just trying to claw our way back to 500, and then at that point on, it's a new ball game. See what happens.
One game at a time, brother. That's all
Exactly.
Well, I do wish you guys the best of luck and, for the rest of the season. Hopefully you'll be able to turn things around. I believe in you. All right.
Yeah, I think we'll be fine. Just take a little bit of time, right?
Indeed. Thanks, Robert. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Back to you.
Thank you, Ashley. And back to the highlights in Chicago as the Chicago Warriors taking on the Bossier City Steamers, a battle of 1 and 2 teams. It was type attack early and often. And then Chicago's defense taking down Johnny Pickler there. But it was more about what Chicago was able to do against the run. Jeff Bamfield was the only guy they couldn't stop. He gets into the end zone here for the score, but after Chicago got gashed in the by Vancouver in the run game, their performance against Bossier City was impressive.
Yeah, the Chicago defense, that front seven, they were fantastic the whole game. They had 5 sacks against Johnny Pickler, and then, as you mentioned, they pretty much shut that entire Bossier City run game down.
Bamfield got Bossier City back in this one, but then on first down and goal, how about quarterback draw? Totally fooled everybody. Dropped back to pass and then went right up the gut for a 1-yard score, 20-10. Pickler trying to keep the game alive for the Steamers. It's Bamfield again, just knocking players over like Jenga blocks all the way down to the 25-yard line. First down for the Steamers. Then on third down and goal, 9 minutes to go. You got to score in these situations. Handoff. Rob Noel can't get anywhere. That's the run defense that we're talking about making the difference. J.J. Bailey with the stop. Bossier City had to kick a field goal. 20-13. Fourth down. Dropped. Wide open. Dave Axett, you got to catch that.
You definitely have to catch that one. And a veteran like Dave Axett, I know he's kicking himself for that, but they come back with a huge turnover right here, Cam, to get another opportunity.
Michaela Foraker, been kind of quiet so far this season, the most improved player from last season, forcing the fumble. Bob Funk recovers, so Bossier City's got new life. The only problem is that Chicago's still playing defense. Johnny Pickler, pick. Nearly all the way back the other way. A touchdown saving tackle there by a big hog molly but Chicago had the momentum back in their favor. Empty backfield, what do you do? Patak, Pauly Truth, touchdown Chicago, and they got the win. Impressive performance from the Warriors. They improve to 2-2. They muddy up that Central Division once more, and it doesn't look like the South is going to be our most exciting race this season because that Central and that East are all sorts of clustered up right now.
Oh, yeah, it's all clustered up, Cam, and it looks like it's all going to be exciting the entire season in all divisions right now because it's anybody's ball game, maybe except out west where we see Vancouver kind of taking the reins a little bit out there. But Arizona's going to have something to say about that as well. But for the most part, we're seeing some parity around this league, and it's going to be an exciting run here for the next few weeks.
The Chicago Warriors, as JW mentions, he says they got the nuttiest playbooks in the league. They're just so different, so unique. Type Attack is a wizard. He is just and the difference between Type Attack and every other quarterback is that from the moment Type Attack got into the league, he started building this player. This was the identity that he wanted to have. This is the identity of the Chicago Warriors. And despite not having a star running back, Chicago outrushed Bossier City. That can't happen if you want to beat the Warriors. You got to make them pay for that lack of ground game and force Type Attack to beat you with his arm.
Well, Type Attack beat him with his arm and his feet and with his legs this game, Cameron. And this was the Type Attack that I was excited about seeing when he came into the league. I wish that he was on my wish list at one time. To get maybe down to Houston, but he's in Chicago doing great things, and this is what I expected from day one. This guy was excellent, and we may hear some more about Type Attack later in the show.
Joshua Williams in the house. Let's go MSG. You got a fan. You got a fan, Mike. They're still out there.
So he's the one. Hey, man, I appreciate it, Josh. Appreciate it, man.
Bossier City is so frustrating to me because every game they play, they're like an 85 out of 100, right? I mean, they're in every game. They are competitive with every team, but there's always – well, not always, but in losses, it just feels like something is missing. And for Bossier City in this game, it was just that ground game. Johnny Pickler played great, but it can't all be one-dimensional. And they have to figure out Rob Noel. That was the same story last season. When they got Rob Noel and the run game going, Bossier City looked like one of the best teams in the league. And when they didn't, they just kind of looked like any other team in the league.
Yeah, and at one point last season, I thought they'd kind of figured this thing out with Noel, as you mentioned, but I haven't heard much of him at all this season, and that's kind of resulting in these one-score losses that they are becoming, known for. You got to be able to win these close games in this league, and Bossier City right now, that's the difference between being a division, contender and possibly, not making the playoffs right now. So they're going to have to get some balance in this offense, as you mentioned, Johnny Pickler. He typically always plays fantastically, which he did again, in this game. At Banfield had 178 yards receiving as well, but you got to balance it out a little bit and maybe keep Chicago's offense off the field and keep a Type Attack off the field a little bit, and also another big inside the red zone. You got to put touchdowns on the board, and they came away with a couple of field goals that didn't help them out in this game either.
We only have 2 undefeated teams in the SFL left, and we're going to talk about them next. Let's go to Buffalo, where the Queen City Corsairs and the DC Dragons started playing with that insane catch from Sam Harrison on DC's opening drive. Charlie Baker and the Corsairs bounced back. Charlie Baker had a good game. Queen City played a good game in this one. Chuck Steller on a pitch. How many times you see that? Fumble picked up by Alex Marshall, and the Corsairs were tied at 10 late in the first half. Here's another team late in the first half executing with precision into the end zone for the score, 17-10. That is Joe Beasley with the catch for the Corsairs. They are up by a touchdown. Silas Christensen, the former Steamer quarterback, throws a pick there. Nick Fargo with the interception, and that's when this game started to turn. 3rd down and goal on a draw. Gotta score touchdowns down here. The stop by Highfield forces a field goal for Queen City. And if you're going to give DC the ball in the last 2 minutes, look out. Shabazz Synergy with the throw to Lauren Percoco. Under 5 minutes, I guess I should say. Then 3rd down and inches. Touchdowns, not field goals. In this area of the field, DC takes the lead 23-20. Coach Mullenek's happy about that. 4th down, they try some trickery, a pitch. It doesn't work. DC shuts it down, and the Dragons get the win, come from behind 23-20 over the Queen City Corsairs. DC, on one hand, lucky to survive. On the other, just keep playing high-quality football.
Yeah, they're very fortunate to survive this game, Cam. I thought Queen City did everything in their power to win this game, and possibly could have came away with a win. But as we just mentioned in the previous game, when you don't cash in those red zone opportunities and the other team does, and we saw the result right there, DC was able to come away with a big win and to stay undefeated on the year.
Addition by subtraction, James Walters going back to DC as their defensive coordinator, was the former owner in Nashville. It's like the Dragons are back. You know what I mean? The last couple seasons without him, they just haven't been the same. That defense stepped up in the biggest of ways in the second half. And you know, the Dragons are, maybe not as prominent as Detroit, but another one of those teams that have that defensive first identity right now.
Yeah, that's kind of what I've noticed, looking at once we kind of got into the quarter pole of the season, is that defenses are really stepping up this season, and they're making a difference in the wins and losses as to who's at the top and who's, kind of struggling right now. And DC obviously undefeated, and that defense is playing well. The offense is doing just enough to come away with, with enough points to win games, and that's where they sit right now, on top of in the East. And it's an excellent start for them, and then look to see if they can keep it up.
The other undefeated team did not have a close come from behind win. They dominated Los Angeles, and honestly, I feel kind of bad for LA, because the final score was 34-10, but LA was in this game for a lot of this game, and not playing too bad. They were keeping Vancouver's offense in check. And it just kind of snowballed on them in the fourth quarter. Now, on top of that, on the flip side, Vancouver was talking a lot in the chat about how they were having some substitution issues on defense, and they still held LA to only 10 points. So Los Angeles, a very tough stretch. Arizona and Vancouver back-to-back, the top two teams in their division. They didn't look like they were in the same class as them, but they blew out Florida, who's 2-2, right? So I think it's apparent that Los Angeles is an improved squad. Now it's a matter of trying to stack wins. But Vancouver, undefeated and looking like the most dominant team in the league right now, outside of Mexico City, who had that opening week loss to Arizona, but since then has been rolling.
And I kind of disagree with you a little bit, okay. Cam. You when you said that earlier, when I kind of raised the eyebrow when you said Mexico City are head and shoulders and are clearly the most dominant team, I don't necessarily agree. As I look at this Vancouver team, as we know, these two squads met in the championship game last season. Vancouver, they kind of remind me a little bit of Baltimore when they were right there on the cusp of winning the championship. They were very, very good and for a long time. And Vancouver seems to have gotten a taste of that possible championship goal. And man, they have come out firing on all cylinders this season. They had almost 500 yards of total offense in this game. Christian Brown was excellent, almost 300 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. And then as the defense has kind of been the order of the day, we saw that defense give up less than 200 yards total offense and only 10 points. So, I don't know. I wouldn't put them second to anybody right now. They were probably a couple of fluke plays from being champions themselves last season. I'll give them a 1 and 1A. I cannot give Mexico City a clear-cut most dominant team in the league right now.
Here's my concern with Vancouver, the best teams know their own weaknesses. Vancouver, they were running a lot of tosses, so much so that the broadcasters were even correctly predicting what plays they were going to call. And when the broadcasters can do it, that means the coaches can do it too. Now, every good team, just like Vancouver, they mix things up every week, right? So you don't necessarily know where they're going to go. But if they lack variety in game plan, if your opponent guesses correctly, you're in trouble. And all you end up doing is playing a guessing game with your opponent, and that's risky business. So, maybe it's Los Angeles, maybe they figure, look, we just go to our bread and butter, we do what works, and we get out of here with a W. Maybe that was the strategy, and if so, it certainly worked. But that's with Mexico City, I never know they are just so unpredictable on offense. They if I was a defensive coordinator, they'd make my head spin.
Oh yeah, it's hard to go against a two-time defending champ, but from week to week, we never know what we're going to see. I'm just going by what I saw this particular week, and they looked fantastic against obviously a slightly lesser opponent, but we'll see how it plays out going down the stretch of the season. But I just can't give it to Mexico City alone right now because just how good Vancouver looked this past week.
And listen, they Vancouver hammered Chicago, who just beat Bossier City, a good Bossier City team. So, Vancouver certainly has had the word dominant in their vocabulary so far this season, and they look like they could be poised for a championship rematch with Mexico City, and that rematch is coming up next month. So we get a little taste and get to settle who might actually be better right now at this point in the season. All right, it's time for your Week 5 spectaculars. Mike, give it to the people.
Yeah, and we've talked about a couple of these guys already, Cam, and I'm going to start with in Bossier City. We talked about Jeff Banfield a little bit, man. He was excellent in this game, even in a loss. 7 catches, 178 yards. And a touchdown. We just talked about Christian Brown. He was 18 out of 33 for 278 and 3 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. Also had a rushing touchdown in this game as well. And we talked about Sean Parent. Sean Parent has been excellent this season, as you mentioned, leading the league in sacks with 9 total sacks. He added 3 more to that total to get to 9 this week. So he was fantastic this week. But no one was greater and more spectacular than Ty Patak. Cam, he was excellent in this big victory that they had this weekend. 215 yards passing, a couple of touchdowns. Also had almost 100 yards rushing, 96 yards rushing, and a touchdown. Ty Patak is a spectacular player of the week.
Any uniform, anything you saw out there that?
Well, yeah, let's see. Detroit stood out, but I had to give it to DC this week, man. I really like that kind of a charcoal black look that they had, and also they came through with a huge victory. So DC, they wore it best this week.
I liked LA's with the eyes on the helmets with the LA, but too much blue and white against Vancouver. Come on, teams. With color contrast. We need some color contrast.
And you have to win. If you don't win, you can't look. You don't get.
Well, that's your rule. That's not my rule. I still think they look good. All right, let's get to Ron Haynes and Haynes Vision in our preview of our big game tonight. The Albuquerque Adams taking on the Houston Headhunters. This game means a lot to both these teams. Houston was very close to knocking off Albuquerque last season in Albuquerque. They got to go back and try to do it again. No team has been able to figure this out or figure them out at home. A perfect 15-0 at home since they joined the SFL. Cyrus Jive, this is kind of weird. 49% completion percentage. That's it. But he's got 4 touchdowns and 467 yards through the first 3 games.
I'm kind of surprised to see that stat, Cam. You expect more out of Cyrus Jive, especially with the the passing attack he has with the combination with K. Marion.
This is the man of the hour, Josh Slapp. 57 carries, 360 total yards so far this season. And that was a fantastic run against Denver. He is probably the toughest running back to stop in season 25 so far.
Well, he's the toughest running back in season 25, 24, 23. This guy's just excellent, Cam. He's probably the most explosive back in the league. He can hit the home run ball as well as get you a couple of 2 or 3 tough yards when you need it.
Jack Wall, just 7 catches in 3 games, but we know that he is a serious threat as serious threat at any point in the game. Kay Marion is the ultimate serious threat, and she's probably the reason why Jack Wall only has 7 catches, 18 for 261 yards, averaging 87 yards a game.
Yeah, when that running attack is not working, they go to Kay Marion. She's been huge for this team over the past couple of seasons. And when they need a big play in the passing game, she's always going to be the number 1 target.
Defensively, William Patterson had 3 tackles for loss against Denver. He was all over Bailey O'Shaughnessy in that game, but 8 total tackles, 4 TFLs so far for Patterson. But, as common in some of the best defenses in the league, that linebacker's the anchor.
Yeah, you don't. When you think about this team, you don't really think about defense as much. But as linebacking core, they're solid and they come through with big plays at big times.
Look at TJ Frosty coming over and knocking that one out. An underrated safety on this defense. 22 tackles, 3 TFLs, 4 passes deflected. Really does it all. When you can have 4 pass deflections and 3 tackles in the backfield, that shows how diverse you are. Bryant James, arguably their best player in the secondary. 2 picks, 5 TFLs, 5 PDs. It's the same story for Albuquerque. Everybody kind of does it all on this defense.
Yeah, and Bryant James, he's going to have to come up big today. If Albuquerque, if they want to shut down this Houston receiving corps, Bryant James is going to have to be a big part of what they want to do tonight.
That's a look at Albuquerque. Let's take a look at the Houston Headhunters. This is your squad, Mike St. Green. John Lakeman through the first 3 games, 52.3% completion. He's got 4 touchdowns, averaging a little under 200 yards a game. What do you think of how he's been playing so far this season?
I think he's been pretty solid, Cam. Probably not as efficient as I've seen him in towards the end of last season, but he's going to have to come up huge tonight if Houston's going to get the victory.
Tino Sosa is the replacement in the backfield for Josh Slapp, averaging 87 yards a game. That is nothing to slouch at, and Sosa probably going to be overshadowed tonight in terms of storylines, but I'm sure is looking for a major opportunity to outshine Josh Slapp tonight.
Yeah, I was really excited about bringing Tino Sosa in to the team, Cam, and he's has not disappointed. Once he got his opportunity, he's proven himself that he can fill the shoes pretty good of Josh Slapp's.
Greg Corky with 10 grabs and 2 touchdown vultures from Mike St. Green this season, making sure to keep MSG out of the end zone. Another a rookie that we want to talk about, Toby Bonnets, has been a revelation for this team as well. This one goes for 55 yards to the house. He's got 2 touchdowns, and this wide receiving core continues to be overlooked.
Yeah, it's huge names all over this wide receiver core, but Toby Bonnets, man, the rookie, the 2 touchdowns, lead the squad right now. He's come up huge so far in this rookie season.
We're going to get to defense in just a second. That's where Houston hangs their hat. Juan, Mississippi, 27 tackles in 3 games. A third of his tackles are just like that, behind the line of scrimmage, up to 9 already this season. He lives in opponents' backfields.
Yeah, Juan, Mississippi, he wanted to come to Houston so he could be aggressive like this, Cam, and he has not disappointed. Sacks, TFLs, and we see what a beast he is, once he can get into that offensive backfield.
You can see Chris Henry here, lined up at linebacker, plays safety. Houston uses him as sort of a hybrid player in this defense, and so far so good.
Oh, yeah, Chris Henry, he didn't know, what his role was going to be once he came to Houston, but, hey, it's been pretty much etched out right now. Hey, be aggressive, go after the ball, and be a ball hawk.
Guy Incognito certainly did that on that play, coming out of nowhere to get the pick. That was one of his 2 interceptions this season. He has 30 tackles in 3 games, an average of 10 per. Guy has been dominant on this defense for Houston. Sonny J, a kicker worth highlighting. He got the overtime win from 32 yards out, and so far this season, so good with his 4 field goals and a long of 45.
Yeah, Sonny J, a long-time Houston headhunter for life, and Sonny, is typically money, as we see 100% accuracy on the season so far.
Albuquerque is 15-0 at home all time since joining the SFL. Will Mike St. Green keep his credibility, or will he become the homer of the century. I'm just kidding. Of course, Houston has an absolute shot to win this game. A very talented headhunter team. Last season against Albuquerque, they only lost 37-31. You could argue that they have been the toughest test for Albuquerque ever in their building. Houston get the win?
Well, I'll tell you what, Cam, this is, what better week to come back, in the fold here and be back on the show with you, man. The Headhunters playing tonight up against a tough home opponent in Albuquerque. Never lost there. We did give them a run for their money last season. I think we're going to see more of the same tonight. I think we're going to see an offensive game for sure. It's going to come down to if Houston can get this Albuquerque running game off the field. These guys are averaging right around 250 yards rushing per game. They're going to have to slow that down. This Houston front seven, as we mentioned, they're going to be put to the test. But John Lakeman is going to be a key in this game, Cam, if he can be efficient, not turn it over in bad situations, so to speak. I think the Houston passing game is going to be huge today. With that being said, of course, Houston's going to break this 15-game home winning streak and come away with a huge victory tonight. It's going to be high-scoring. People, get your popcorn ready. There's no telling what MSG is going to do in this game. So Houston 38-34 in a close one and a thriller.
I hope so, because last week I was put to sleep by Denver and Mexico City, so we got to get it back. We got to get the MNS Magic back. Thank you to Ashley Jackson, Robert Thump, Corey Menner for contributing to the show. Thank you to Stephen Mullinex, Coach Mullinex, who was here last week, filling in for Mike St. Green, and thank you, Mike, for being here mostly each and every week on SFL this week, taking time out of your busy schedule to be here with the SFL people. Any last words?
Next cruise is in, you said next month, but 7 months. I think that'll be the middle of the spring season, so the winter season, whatever we call it. But yeah, who knows what week that'll fall on. But yeah, another cruise coming up. But it's great to be back. Fantastic to be back and see some SFL action. I've kind of been out of the loop the past couple of weeks, was playing catch up all weekend, so I could at least kind of sound like I know what I'm talking about on this show Monday tonight. But it was great being back and seeing all the action that I had missed and getting caught up on. And looking forward to being with you guys the rest of the way. Hopefully, if nothing comes up.
I know your wife is desperate to figure out how to be my friend. Stop taking my co-hosts on cruises in the middle of the season. Then we'll be friends. All right, everybody, take care. Enjoy Houston and Albuquerque. Charles Doherty and myself on the call. Mike O'Neill and Tyler Falk will be in studio for halftime and post. We got the full crew. We got the stats truck as well. We'll meet and introduce them as we get started in New Mexico. Thanks for watching SFL this week, and we'll see you next week.